Let's look at Friday. NBA, 8 games on. We're streaming in. We're winning the fantasy playoffs unless we're going up against Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed. Like, let's be serious. You're never beating Michael Bolton in a fantasy
You are
matchup.
Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and Ziggy Zeckelman is a cool name. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Twitter as always, at redrock_bball, on TikTok, at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. Use the code all lowercase LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free and we're double banging on all platforms. So thumb it up, bell, comment, subscribe, review. Let's do it. Right across all those places, the double bang is the great way to do it as well. What are we talking about? We're talking about Friday in the NBA. We're talking about March the 22nd. We're talking about a day with 8 games on. And we're talking about getting to the end of this perfect streaming schedule because things start to take a negative turn really soon. But speaking of negative turns, there are injuries, of course. There are situations, of course. And we need to talk about a lot of stuff. I'm trying to figure out, do they play in this one? No, they don't. So we'll talk about it now. Update on Kevin Huerter. It's not really an update, but it is an update. They say he's got a shoulder dislocation, yes. And a labral tear, yes. And they've also said, that treatment will be reevaluated. Turns out he's not coming back in the regular season. This is our expectation all along. We talked about it with Julius Randle and Josh Richardson. Already the example set. There's no reason for Huerter to be coming back. He just wasn't. There's no chance. A labral tear is what Ja Morant has, and he's out for the season. I'm not saying that Huerter's out for that long, but don't be shocked. He's just not playing in the regular season. It's done. Right? So if you were on the fence about Keon Ellis, understand that Keon Ellis has a starting spot here. Rest of season, I would guess. For us anyway, regular season, he's starting. Huerter is not returning. In 3.5 weeks, he is not coming back. Famous last words. Maybe he does come back. Who cares? In the end, Kevin Huerter is not good enough to matter that much, and Alice is going to get enough out of. But that's that. That update came through. We know where we're at with that. All right. Let's take a look at the old... the first game. Yeah, not the old one. The first one. It is the Oklahoma City Thunder up against the Toronto Raptors. What do we got here? Well, schedule-wise, the Thunder go Friday, Sunday. The Raptors go Friday, Saturday. Next week, the Thunder, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. Remember, for next week, there are only 3 good days. Every other day is 10-plus games. I think it's all 11-plus, actually. Maybe one's 10. But we're only looking at Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturday next week. Every other day is a stinking day. And the Thunder do play on Tuesday, so that's good. The Raptors go Friday, Saturday, so back-to-back here. And then they go Monday, Wednesday, Sunday. Terrible schedule next week. So while we've been getting value out of Jontay Porter, out of Gary Trent, out of maybe Jordan Warrer, out of maybe the Prestige Penis, Grade A Dick, I think it is going to flop next week with only those 3 games, the big gap in the middle, and all of them on high-volume days. It's not good. Quickly is out again. With that personal reasons, we knew that he was out on Wednesday, missed that game. There was speculations to do with RJ Barrett's brother's funeral. He's still out on Friday. I'm going to guess they could go for a 1-game road trip on Saturday to Washington. I don't think he'll be on that one. So I think Quickly might be done for the week. And then you make the decision. Does he even play next week? They've got 3 games, high volume days. If he misses Monday, it's 2 games for the week in a stinking part of the schedule. Yes, you can slot him onto IL+. We know all this. But that gets to the situation where I'm not sure that you hold on to Quickly. I know you don't hold to Barrett because I just don't think he's coming back. But Quickly is now moving into that zone where it's like, yeah, do I actually hold? I'm not sure. Barrett's out. Carton is out. Jontay Porter left last game with an illness after 4 minutes, which was sick. Awesome stream that was. But he is not on the injury report, so he will play unless something goes astray. The Thunder are the most boring team in fantasy. Clayson Wallace started the last game. Well, it started the second half of the last game, but it doesn't matter. We're not using him anywhere. Maybe he becomes a stream option because no one plays quality games next week, and they play on Tuesday, so maybe, yeah. And then for the Raptors, Jontay Porter, what do his minutes? To get back to 22, 23? I think so. And that's useful. That's really good. and we get the Friday, Saturday out of him, and then next week it becomes useless. Josh Giddey is getting boosts. I don't really know why these permanent numbers have jumped the last 1.5 months, but they have. And then Bruce Brown is probably going to be starting again at point guard. He was pretty mid last time. They didn't give him a huge amount of playing time, but with everyone out, quickly still out as well, obviously. Brown is going to get boosts. He's going to be useful here. Whether he is startable on the higher volume days next week, I would think probably not would be my answer. The next game is just absolutely annoyance personified. Boston, Detroit. Boston goes Friday, Saturday, and then next week they play Monday, but then they do have Thursday, Saturday at the end of the week. 2 high value games, low volume games, volume. The Pistons go Friday, Sunday this week, and then next week, only 3 games, all high volume. That stinks. And we got a million blokes on the injury report. Now, the Pistons just updated some stuff. So I'll talk about that in a sec. But the Celtics, Tatum is questionable. Porzingis is questionable. Horford is questionable. Jaylen Brown is questionable. Sick. The only bloke out of their regular starters who's not questionable is Derek White, who's not on the injury report, so he's playing. And, Drew Holiday is out. So we know that he is out. So this might be actually... I'll say significant injury, but it's not just load management for Holiday. It's sort of load management. I don't think it's a thing that's costing him a huge amount of time, but it's like he's actually sat multiple games in a row here. The fact that Horford is being listed questionable for the first game of the back-to-back is very intriguing. Usually they don't put him on the injury report at all, and then he sits the second game. So is Horford gonna... This is all against Detroit. Do they sit everyone against Detroit? Because their second game's against a better team, so does everyone come back there? I mean, that's possible. Because, again, the signal that would tell me that this is in play is that Horford has popped up as questionable. Which usually they just say, Horford not on the injury report, Horford out. The fact that he's appeared questionable and their game on Saturday is against the Bulls, not a good team, but a better team. Maybe they all just take it off on Friday and then they're all back on Saturday. I just don't know. Sam Hauser looks like he's going to return. He's probable. For the Pistons, we know there's no Asar Thompson, there's no Isaiah Stewart, so we would hope that Simone Fontecchio would be good, but he's out. And then Stanley Amude was replacing Fontecchio, who was replacing Asar, and he's out as well. So Amude started last game. So did Tosan Evbuamwan. Who the hell starts now? Because Taj Gibson is dealing with this hamstring. I believe Taj has now officially been ruled out as well. He has. So has Quentin Grimes. So Evbuamwan's going to start. I'm guessing Fournier gets a chance to start. Troy Brown. I think we might look to Chimezie Metu. I don't know. But like that would mean Evbuamwan starts at the 3. Metu gets more minutes at the 4. It's just really messy. Do they go small with Sasser, Ivy, and Cunningham? Does Wiseman start next to Duran? There's a million things that can happen. But all of those Pistons ones there that I wasn't sure about are all out. Fontecchio out. Amude out. Grimesy out. Gibson out. So what are we watching for? Well, Peyton Pritchard's got a huge chance here again with Drew out. Now, whether Drew or Derek White play on Saturday, I've got no idea, but there is massive chance here for Pritchard. And then for Detroit, I do want to watch Jalen Duren because minutes are down for him. He's still been horrible defensively. And I'm a little worried. He's only young, obviously. It's his second season. But I'm a little worried that his absolutely horrific defense through 2 years, and yes, it's been horrific, means that if we're talking longer term and dynasty, like, do they just say, maybe he's not our center of the future. Maybe we actually want someone who can defend and protect the rim a little bit. He shows good flashes. He puts up good fantasy stats, good field goals, some passing, some rebounding. But if he's actually going to be a significant negative defensively, which Duren has been, when we're talking longer term, maybe that doesn't last. Maybe he's the guy or one of the guys, not set in stone. Maybe he's be one of the guys who puts up these good fantasy numbers and then he gets replaced, plays 18 minutes, shout out Walker Kessler, where you go like, oh, what's going on? He used to put up these good numbers. And you go, yeah, obviously Kessler, good defender. But for Duren, well, he just doesn't play because he's one of the worst big men defenders in the NBA. I do fear that we could go down that path. I'm a little fearful of it. So Pritchard's getting the boost in Boston. I think Tosan has to be someone we at least somewhat look at. Like, what the hell else are we doing? I don't feel good about Troy Brown or Buddy Boeheim or Fournier or Wiseman and Duren together. The other one I would look at is Metu, and he does move into that discussion now, but it's pretty ugly stuff given how that looks, which is not good. Today's episode is brought to you by the Demon Legends over at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 3 million members. It is the easiest and the most exciting way to play DFS. It's you against the numbers. You can pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 individual player stat projections, and then you win them, and the winnings roll in. It is now demon time on Prize Picks as well. And you know what? It's been demon time for a very long time. And you can win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into 1,000. Now, normally demon time involves different sort of picks, but use these picks instead to get you money instead of, I don't know, restraining orders. Demons and Goblins are the newest and most exciting way to play at Prize Picks. Squares marked with red demons or the green goblins get you different payouts, and you can now win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. PrizePicks now also offers Apple Pay for quick and easy deposits into your account this basketball season. So go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. The code is LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. That is prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. The code is LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks, pick more, pick less. It is that easy. Okay, next game. Stinking stuff for that one. This one, a lot of guys out as well, and a lot of unknowns. It's Cleveland, Minnesota, which theoretically should be good. Let's talk schedule first. Cleveland goes Friday, Sunday, and then Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. Terrible schedule next week. So your hopes of a George Niang, Sam Merrill, maybe Karis LeVert stream next week probably don't. LeVert depends. You probably use him. The others no. The Wolves go Friday, Sunday this week as well, and then next week it smells. They don't play Monday or Tuesday, and then they go Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. All high volume days. So while we got a lot of guys out now, I'm not expecting that Evan Mobley plays. Don Mitchell's going to be out for Cleveland. I expect Dean Wade and Max Strus are going to be out, given the words of JB Bickerstaff yesterday. And then for the Wolves, Towns is out. And then we don't know about Reed and Gobert. I do think Gobert plays, and I do think that Reed will be available to play. But now we get into that situation where Reed has been really good in games where Gobert and Towns are out, but he's been sort of mid-ish in games where Gobert plays. Is he? Well, I'll tell you what, Kyle Anderson's not going to be a hold next week for that 3-game high volume. No way. And I'm not sure that Nazi's either. No game for 2 days, and then again, it's always with all of this stuff, look at your roster for Wednesday next week. Is Naz going to be one of your 10 active guys? Is he going to be one of your 10 actives on Friday? Because if he's not, then you consider moving off at the end of this week. Karis LeVert is playing really well at the moment. There is going to be a day where he shoots 21% on 18 attempts and goes 4 of 9 from the line. That is going to happen. We hope it doesn't, but it is at some point. And then for the Wolves, Jaden McDaniels was great last game. Congratulations, my guy. One good game ever. Now, what we need to see is, can you do it when somebody else plays? Because there was no Gobert, no Reed last game. Okay. I, again, am not interested in Jaden McDaniels at all until you do it consistently. With a bad schedule, I wouldn't be starting him next week either. So I don't think he's a must-roster guy at all. But if Gobert and Reed are out, then I would consider streaming him in for this short term. Who gets boosted? George Niang, with the expectation to me that Wade, Mobley, Mitchell Strus are all out. And Kyle Anderson continues to get that boost. You know what he's going to get you? 10, 5, and 5, a steal, maybe a block. Maybe you'll get spicy and get 10, 5, and 6. We know what he is. Consistent numbers across the board. Not blowing us away, but just doing little bits and pieces there to help us out. I don't know what to tell you about this next one, honestly. Now, I know I'm saying that a lot, but what am I going to tell you? Memphis and San Antonio. The Grizzlies, this is their final game for the week. So if you're in fantasy finals, you obviously drop all of the Grizzlies after Friday, and you might be dropping some of them earlier. Next week, they go Monday, Wednesday, and then Saturday. So their next low-volume day is Saturday in week 22. It's a long time to wait. For the Spurs, they go Friday, Saturday, back-to-back this week, and then they end up with the bad schedule of Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. Good games. Good for Victor with the 4. Absolutely. Good for Vassell with the 4 games. No problem. For any of your streamy, Keldon Johnson-y, Trey Jones-ys, Julian Bubble Champagne, those sort of guys you might be streaming in deepers, bad. My thing here is we have seen the Grizzlies screw around with the injury report for months, and the pattern has been that these guys develop a soreness against a bad team. Do they develop a soreness against a bad team? Desmond Bane only played 24 minutes last game. Are we setting it up for this? So I am currently saying that Des Bane, Jaren Jackson, Vince Williams are all unlikely to play. I don't know that for sure. So a lot of my recommendations for this game and this day in general is going to be based on, I'm not sure, I don't think these Grizzlies guys play. Quad soreness, knee soreness, ankle injury rehab management, something like that I fear is going to come up. And I'm just looking to see whether anything has actually appeared. Actually, the Wolves just dropped Anthony Edwards onto the injury report as questionable, sick. And Rudy Gobert also officially questionable. But I just don't know. Like, Luke Kennard's been out for personal reasons. Is he coming back? No idea. Lamar Stevens, Marcus Smart, I'm guessing is out. Brandon Clark's out. But, like, Scottie Pippen, is he back? Because all that changes. Jordan Goodwin hasn't been playing, but does he jump back into the rotation? If Bane is out, maybe, probably. About old mate Malzinho Pereira. Are we going to get minutes from him? I guarantee you he's not in ESPN. He's probably honestly not even in Yahoo. And here's the question. Is my mate Malzinho, is he available in Fantrax? Because Fantrax, to me, is the best fantasy platform. But let's see whether they've updated to put the big fella in there. He is. Wowee. Fantrax with the old Malzinho option. He has 2 fantasy points for the season. There you go. And for the Spurs, Zach Collins dealing with a concussion issue, so he's questionable at the moment. So what's on my radar? Santi Aldama is literally at risk of sitting this one as well. He's been great, but they have not been shy about chucking him on injury reports too. But we watch what he does. Same with the horse, Keldon Johnson. I think it's going to be more of the same from him. But I want to sort of figure out, is he a 28-minute guy, a 30-minute guy? Where are they viewing him? In terms of guys getting boosted, I think LaRavia plays irrespective, and he could get a big boost if a bunch of guys sits. He could shoot 20%, but there's enough there, I think, for LaRavia to be useful. And then Don Barlow will be one to watch. I don't know that Zach Collins plays. In fact, I think that questionable concussion tag is probably closer to a doubtful, meaning that Barlow could jump in and be at least like a back-end sort of a stream guy. We've seen him put up some pretty solid numbers in the past. The next one's a little bit more straightforward. It's the Pelicans and it's the Heat. We know we've banged you over the head with the Pelicans schedule for a week, 2 weeks now. They go Friday, Sunday this week, which is great. And then Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. All quality games, all the time for New Orleans. No other team does this. They've got 5 in a row. They've got a great schedule. The Heat, Friday, Sunday this week, and then they do play Tuesday, so that's pretty strong. And then Friday, Sunday, it's a bad back end of their schedule. Dyson Daniels is out. Tyler Hero is out. Duncan Robinson is out. Kevin Love is out. Bam Adebayo is questionable. I think Bam will play. This is a back-to-back for the Pelicans, so they're playing Thursday. For the Heat, I'm guessing because all of these guys are out again, that Patty Mills is going to get another chance to start. He scored okay. I'm not really that into Patty Mills, but if you're getting desperate for points and threes, he's going to have an opportunity. Guys getting boosted, they do keep giving Larry Nance more minutes than Valanciunas. This is a really strong part of the schedule, and hopefully this game is not a blowout, so we get good stuff out of Nance. And then Caleb Martin with absences with other players. Now, Jovic is going to play, and Butler is going to play. So Martin's part the minutes is a little bit more cloudy, but I still think there's enough there to at least consider him. But obviously he was terrible in the last one as well, so we're not going to get too excited about it. The next game is the Clippers taking on the Portland Trailblazers. I swear to God we just saw this game. This was the James Harden contest Kawhi Leonard shot game yesterday, wasn't it? Anyway, the Clippers go Friday, Sunday, and then they have 4 games next week, all high volumes, which is fine for Kawhi and for Jim Harden and for Paul George. You're going to start them, but it means your fringe guys are in real strife. For the Blazers, they do go Friday, Saturday on the back-to-back, and then next week they go Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So when you're considering a fringe streamer, a Chris Murray, Tamani Kamara, Matisse Thybulle, probably even put Scoot and Banton into that mix. Would you even start them Monday, Wednesday, Friday? Probably not. And then we've got the question markers. Does the Ides of March Jeremy Grant appear? How's Anthony Simons' knee? What about the Sofa King Snowman? DeAndre Ayton, is he going to play any of these games? All of them? I don't know. Norman Powell and Terrence Mann. Powell, they keep listening in question. Will they keep lying? At the moment, I don't have an official status on him. Well, Terrence Mann missed last game with a shoulder problem. I would think Mann plays and Powell doesn't, but it's up in the air. Westbrook's going to be out. I'm going to just proactively list Jeremy Grant as doubtful. Like we always like to say, like at some point, you just have to show me you're going to be there. And I don't care that maybe it's a hamstring and the recovery's there. I'm just going to say that you're not playing until I actually hear that you are. So I'm listing him as doubtful. Matisse Thybulle, he's probably closer to doubtful than questionable. So this ankle problem for about a week. Don't know that he goes. Brogdon and Sharp are going to be out. I want to watch Zubats. Last game was great, still only 24 minutes. 24 minutes of Zubats is probably not going to be useful on those high-volume days. Like, will you start Zubats 4 times next week? Probably not. Have a look at your roster, though. So let's see what he's able to do. And then Chris Murray was great in the last one for Portland. He's also started since about the middle or end of January, or maybe not that far, but he's never done anything like that in the past. So I'm not going to get super excited about him. And also, I'd have zero confidence about starting Chris Murray in any of those 3 games next week. Amir Coffey probably gets a boost with Powell and or Mann out. And then Jabari Walker, with my assumption that Jeremy Grant doesn't play, he's been getting some better minutes. Still would love to see him move into that starting lineup. So I'm not super confident there, but he's been doing okay, and that's enough to watch and have a value there on streaming. Today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. That is what brings home the winning trophy for you in your fantasy league, but it's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything that you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, from superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED, headlights, and more. Whatever it is you're into, whether it's speed or power or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money back, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts that you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to US customers. All right. Let's go on to the next one. It is the 7th game of the day. It is the Warriors and the Pacers, and I cannot believe that I'm saying this, and touch wood, outside of the out for the season guys, there is nobody on the injury report for either team here. It's just Ben Mathurin, that's it. No one else is hurt. Actually staggering to see that. The Pacers go Friday, Sunday, and then they have a really poor Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule with no weekend game next week. The Warriors go Friday, Sunday, and then they have the Tuesday, which is a W, and then Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. So real value in the Warriors, especially with that Tuesday to kick off next week, where they play the first of the low-volume days. Isaiah Jackson played big minutes and big numbers last game. 2 reasons. Miles Turner in gigantic foul trouble, and Rick Carlisle said he was going to play him because it was in his hometown. Now, he doesn't have 2 hometowns. He's not hometown in San Francisco. So I would expect that Isaiah Jackson goes back to a big total of 0 minutes and Jalen Smith gets the job, but maybe not. We need to watch it. And then for the Warriors, to me, it's just all about Trayce Jackson-Davis. He remains, I believe, a must-roster player. Friday, Sunday, Tuesday is a good little 3-game in 5-night stretch as well. And I don't care that he comes off the bench. He's doing enough in those 24 minutes. Yes, he'll hurt your free throws, but there is enough there for Trayce to be a must-roster guy. The Pacers keep boosting TJ McConnell as well. He's only playing 21 minutes a night, but usage up, assists up. He did have a lot of turnovers last game, but he gets steals. He's pretty close to a must-roster guy. You run into the problem next week, of course, of the schedule and whether he's startable or not. But at the moment, he's doing some pretty nice things. And then your final game of the day is the Philadelphia 76ers and the Los Angeles Lakers. Yeah, they're a team that exists. They're back. They're playing. It's just been pretty sparse for them recently. The Sixers go Friday, Sunday, and then next week they have the all high-volume games. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. The Lakers go Friday, Sunday this week, and then they play Tuesday. So from a time where we've been seeing the Lakers never play, they've got 3 quality games in the next 5 nights, which is a huge W. And then they go Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. So you're going to start LeBron. You're going to start AD there, of course. You probably start D'Angelo and Reeves also. So that's good news that they've got some volume back into their season. The thick hogsman Tobias Harris practiced for the Sixers, so looks like his return could be coming. Melton is still out. Embiid is not coming back at any point soon, guys. I don't think you need to be holding him. Bob Covington is done, I'm pretty sure. Christian Wood's regular season, I'm pretty sure he's over as well. He's having a procedure on his knee. Conflicting reports about whether Gabe Vincent's returning, but he's not in this one. Jared Vanderbilt's out, and Cam Reddish is probable. Kelly Oubre somehow has had 8 blocks in the last 2 games. I know that it's fake. I'm 100% certain that it's fake. But I need to see what Oubre's role continues to be. Will they continue to give him these big minutes? Does it change at all if Tobias Harris returns? We find out. And then for the Lakers, Rui Hachimura continues to start in the absence of Vanderbilt. I'm always just gathering more data to prove myself correct that he's a bad fantasy player, but we'll just keep watching Hachimura. In terms of guys getting boosted, Kyle Lowry continues to get these minutes over Budrick Hield. We know he's going to be a poor scorer, usually Lowry, but getting some assists and steals in, there's something there at least. While for the Lakers, Jackson Hayes, this is for deeper leagues, because with no Woody, no Vanderbilt, Hayes gets your backup center minutes. Maybe he can chip in a block or 4 or 5 rebounds. But for deeper leagues, that stuff does become important. So let's take a look at the schedule. Friday, Saturday, back-to-backs. Who's got them? Boston, the Trailblazers, the Spurs, and the Raptors. The Celtics is the one where it's going to be really interesting. What happens with Simons and Grant for the Blazers is interesting. The Spurs, I think, will be fine either way. I don't think there's any worry there. And the Raptors, well, everyone's already out anyway, and that's why I don't think Quickly actually plays on the Saturday, meaning I think they keep their rotation relatively intact. Let's look at the next 4 days. That takes you into Monday of next week. Remember, that is a high volume day. So there are a bunch of teams, though, that do play 3 games in 4 nights. Remembering, though, that most of those end up being, or I think all of them, end up being games on the Monday. So would they be valuable to you? Boston, Cleveland, Detroit, Indiana, the Clippers, Sixers, Blazers, Spurs, and Raptors. So you get 2 games this week, but then you also get the one on Monday. But check whether they're startable for you or not. There are 3 teams, though, that only play 1 game in the next 4 nights. Dallas, Milwaukee, and Orlando. Now, be really cautious about dropping Milwaukee because they do have 3 quality games next week. They've just got a really empty part of their schedule right now. 1 game for the next 4 days. But be cautious about dropping a Leaky Beasley, a Bobby Portis, a Brook Lopez, deeper leagues, Pat Beverly, Pat Connaughton, Jay Crowder, because they've got an interesting schedule next week. Orlando, you'll see. It's not very good for them coming up at all. What about the next 5 days? Because this incorporates Tuesday of next week. There are 5 teams that play 3 quality games in the next 5 nights. The Warriors, Trayce Jackson-Davis. The Lakers, maybe it is Rui. The Miami Heat, Caleb Martin, that little bit of a boost there. The Pelicans, we've banged on about them ad nauseum. And the Thunder have 3 qualities in 5 nights. Is it enough to switch me onto Lou Dort? Probably not, but maybe, because you're actually going to be able to play him. And there's a million teams who have 1 quality game in the next 5 nights. Atlanta, Brooklyn, Charlotte, Chicago, Dallas, and Denver, Houston, Memphis, New York, Phoenix, Utah, Washington, and Orlando. Now, Orlando only have 1 actual game during that time. But it's a quality game at least. Now, I'm not going to look at 6 days because we know that that would include the Wednesday, and then we know the Wednesday's got a million games on, so we're not going to actually be streaming anyone in on that day anyway. What about the next 7 days? There's 1 team who has 4 quality games in the next 7 days, and you guessed it, it's the Pelicans. And there is a bunch of teams who have 1 quality game in the next 7 days. Brooklyn, Charlotte, Chicago, Denver, Houston, Memphis, the Knicks, Suns, Jazz, Wizards, Mavericks, and Magic. So, over 7 days, you can +3 in quality games for any of these fringe blokes. Trey Mann, Grant Williams, Finney Smith, maybe Dennis Schroeder, Royce O'Neal, Eric Gordon, Taylor Hendricks maybe. It's pretty bad. You've always got to look to see if they're going to be starting on those high volume days, because if they're not, well, you've got to maximize the games on the lower volume days. And if we look at 9 days, the next 9 days, how does it look? Well, you know what? The Pelicans have 5 quality games in that time period. The Bucks have 4. But there's a bunch of teams who have 1 in the next 9 days. Brooklyn, Charlotte, Chicago, Denver, Houston, the Knicks, the Suns, the Jazz, the Wizards, and the Mavericks. So your fringies, so this might be a Justin Champagny, it might be a Sandwich, Patrick Baldwin Jr., Royce O'Neal, Bol for God's sake, Taylor Hendricks, Chris Dunn, maybe even, can't speak, Keontae George, Walker Kessler, all the Hornets guys. Does Dosunmu fall into this? Probably not, but maybe. 1 game that's on a low volume day in 9 days versus getting 5 Jose Alvarados, 5 Larry Nances, 5 Najee Marshalls, 5 Valanciunas, who's a drop on a per game basis, but that volume is just overwhelming. Let's go back to Friday. Yahoo point streams. Now again, I do not know what is happening in Memphis, but I've got GG Jackson and Santi Aldama at the top of the streamable list, but I'm going to guess that Vince and Dez and Jaren are out, but I don't know that. Trayce Jackson-Davis, a pretty good stream. And then the ones that I've italicized here are the ones that are more for deeper formats. There are some other standard league streamers that come in ahead, but I'm trying to cater to everyone here. We've got Jonte Porter, Jake LaRavia, and Jordan Warrer, who have some Yahoo points streamability. ESPN points relatively similar. The question mark regarding GG and Santi still stays at the top there. Trayce Jackson-Davis, a good stream. And then for the deepers, we go Jonte Porter, Timothy John McConnell, and Trey Jemison, who I think would start if Jaren is out, but I also don't know whether Jaren is going to be out. It'd be a risk to do it now, but it could pay off. It's a risk, though. What about category leagues? Who are we streaming in for the points category? Well, GG looks like he could score 1 million points. Or, well, actually, he probably still scores quite a bit because he's been getting good minutes, but his opportunity rises a lot. Jordan Warrer is your deeper league stream there for the points. For threes, I like GG as well. And Slam and Sammy Merrill is an option there. Look at the bunch of the Boston guys as well. Sam Hauser, Peyton Pritchard with big opportunities that could arise if we assume that a bunch of guys get ruled out, which I think is fair. For rebounding, there's a couple of Memphis guys I like. It's Aldama and Jemison, but I don't know. Jemison might play 0 minutes. Aldama's going to get good minutes either way. Honestly, he could get ruled out too. Blocks, we go to Trayce Jackson-Davis. Luke Cornett didn't play last game or barely played last game. I think he gets back into a larger portion of the rotation for this one on Friday with either Horford or Porzingis out or both. For assists, I'm going to go to Scooter Henderson. Looked better last game. Still not fully there, but looked better. And then TJ McConnell's a good assist guy. He's also a good steals guy, TJ. And then Johnny Concha, who does everything apart from score, really. Great opportunity with potentially a lot of openings there for him in Memphis. And then for percentages, for field goals, we do go to Trayce Jackson-Davis. He looks really strong here. And Trey Jemison, perhaps, maybe, who knows. And then for free throws, we go to Scooter. And Jordan Nwora is a very good free throw shooter. And that, guys, will bring us to the end of this show. Looking ahead to Friday with so many unknowns. Boston and Memphis, I'm looking at you. Detroit with a million guys out as well. A lot of stuff that can still happen. So keep your eyes on the injury updates, but also keep your thumb on this show. Subscribe to it as well and leave your comments down below. Good luck in your matchups, guys. We are done here. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. See ya.